Put two people in a room long enough, and the picture they were carrying about each other starts to fail. The story they'd been given before they arrived, assembled quickly from whatever had been placed there before they came through that door, meets the actual person and loses. That's it. That's what rooms like my community hall do. I've watched it happen hundreds of times. Someone arrives certain about the person across the room. 6 weeks later, they're sharing a joke with them. Not because anyone intervened, not because anyone sat them down and explained they'd got it wrong. Just contact, shared time, the same air. The picture failing against the reality of someone actually being there, someone becoming familiar. It's the most reliable thing I know about people. And somebody, somewhere outside this room, figured that out. Figured out that rooms like this one are where the story they'd carefully built and delivered goes to die. And decided to do something about it. I can see the screens now. I watch people come through that door and sit down and take them out. And I watch what's on them. The feed. The story arriving already knowing, already certain of what to be frightened of, who to blame, what's coming. The picture the person arrived with reflected back at them. Confirmed. Strengthened. Arriving in a new form every few minutes so it never gets stale. And I watch what happens to the person holding it. They're here, but they're also somewhere else. The coat's on the hook, but part of them never quite arrived. There's a conversation happening in the room, and there's another one happening in their hand. And the one in their hand is louder and more certain, and never asks them to sit with anything uncomfortable. This real room asks you to sit with something uncomfortable. That's the whole mechanism. The picture meets the person, and for a moment it's awkward. The certainty wobbles. Something has to update. And that moment of discomfort is where the change happens. That's the room doing its work. The screen skips that moment entirely. It delivers the story, and then more story, and then confirmation of the story. And the picture the person is carrying never has to meet anything that might contradict it. They sit in this room, but hold it at a slight distance, then go home with everything they arrived with intact. Someone built that. It didn't happen by accident. The thing in their hand was designed, carefully, expensively, by people who understood exactly what they were doing, to be more compelling than an ordinary room, to feel warmer than the room, to feel more like company than the person sitting 3 feet away. And underneath the design, a specific understanding that the room is the enemy, that contact is the enemy, that the moment the picture meets the person and loses, that moment is the thing to be prevented at all costs. Because a person who's found the newcomer unthreatening, who sat long enough with the one they were told to fear and found the fear didn't hold, that person is no longer useful. They've stopped needing the story. So the story has to get there first, has to be in the room before the room can do its work, has to be in the pocket, on the lab, in the few seconds of waiting before the conversation starts. Always arriving, always confirming, always louder than the person across the table. This isn't new in its intention. The story that arrived before the person, the picture placed there before the arrival, that's old. What's new is the scale of it, and the patience of it, and the fact that it doesn't need to keep people away from rooms like this one. It just needs to be inside the room with them when they're here. I watch a man come in on Thursday evenings. He's been coming for years. I know his coat. He sits in the same chair. He's not unfriendly. He'll answer if someone speaks to him. He'll laugh if something's funny. But the screen comes out early and goes away late. And in between, there's a quality to him that I've come to recognize. He's receiving something, continuously, all the way through. I can see what it is. The same faces night after night, the same story in new clothes. People who look like him, sound like him, telling him that what he suspects is true, that what he fears is real, that the people in this room, some of them, the ones who arrive differently, who sound different, who come from somewhere different, are the reason for the weight he's carrying. And I watch him look up occasionally, look across the room, and I watch the picture the screen has built compete with the actual person sitting there. And mostly, not always, but mostly, the screen wins. Because the screen is certain, and the room asks you to not be certain for a moment. And that moment is uncomfortable in a way the screen never is. He's not a bad man. He came in here the first time open and curious, and I remember it. What's happened to him happened gradually, and it was done to him more than he did it. And the room he's been sitting in on Thursday evenings isn't this one. Not really. It's the one in his hand. The room still works. It was never built for any of this. It was never built for anything, really, beyond holding people in the same space. That's all it does. And that turns out to be enough when the people are actually in it. I've watched it happen to him. Twice that I can count. Brief. He won't remember either of them as significant. But I saw the certainty wobble. Saw the picture the screen had built fail, just for a moment, against the actual person across the room. Saw something in him that was there before all of this. Curious, open. The man who came in that first time surface briefly before the phone came back out. It's still there. The room still does what it does. It's just competing now with something it was never designed to compete with, something built specifically to defeat it. And it's going to need the people in it to actually be in it, willing to be uncertain for a moment, willing to let the picture meet the person. Because that moment, the uncomfortable one, the one the screen is so careful to skip, that's where everything happens. It always has been. I'll still be here when you get back.